welcome to Medical Dialogues, your daily dose of health and medical news. I'm Mr. Zaman and here is what I bring to you all from the world of medicine.
The link between NAFLD and heart failure risk. The buildup of fat in the liver, known as non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NAFLD for short, is linked to a heightened risk of heart failure over the next decade, finds a pooled data analysis of the available research published online in the journal Gut. Recently published studies have implicated NAFLD in the development of heart failure when the heart is unable to pump sufficient quantities of blood around the body. But the size of this risk and whether this differs according to liver disease severity isn't clear. To try and find out, the researchers pooled the results of 11 long-term international observational studies published up to March 2022. The studies looked at the potential links between NAFLD and heart failure among more than 11 million middle-aged adults. Half of the study participants were women with an average age of 55 and an average BMI of 26. A BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 indicates a healthy weight, 25 and 29.9 indicates overweight, and a BMI of 30 and above indicates obesity. Around 1 in 4, that is 2.9 million or 26% of the study participants, already had NAFLD. Heart failure was diagnosed in 97,716 during an average monitoring period of 10 years. Pooled data analysis of the results of all 11 studies showed that the presence of NAFLD was associated with a 50% heightened risk of developing heart failure during the monitoring period. This was irrespective of age, sex, body fat, diabetes, high blood pressure, ethnicity, and other common cardiovascular risk factors. The risk also seemed to increase in parallel with the severity of NAFLD, especially with more extensive liver fibrosis or scarring when the risk was 76% higher, although this finding was based on the findings of only 2 studies. It's not clear exactly how NAFLD might increase the risk of cardiac complications involved in the development of heart failure, said the researchers. But NAFLD worsens systemic insulin resistance, promotes plaque formation, and releases a cocktail of inflammatory and blood thickening chemicals, they explained. And new diabetes drugs which lower blood glucose seem to have some favorable effects on the risk of hospital admission for heart failure, the researchers added. Cancer prevention with resistant starch. Trial in people with a high hereditary risk of a wide range of cancers has shown a major preventive effect from resistant starch found in a wide range of tools such as oats, breakfast cereal, cooked and cooled pasta or rice, peas and beans, and slightly green bananas. An international trial known as CAP2 involved almost 1,000 patients with Lynch syndrome from around the world and revealed that a regular dose of resistant starch, also known as fermentable fiber, taken for an average of 2 years did not affect cancers in the bowel but did reduce cancers in other parts of the body by more than half. This effect was particularly pronounced for upper gastrointestinal cancers, including esophageal, gastric, biliary tract, pancreatic, and duodenal cancers. The astonishing effect was seen to last for 10 years after stopping taking the supplement. The study, led by experts at the universities of Newcastle and Leeds, published in Cancer Prevention Research, a journal of the American Association for Cancer Research, is a planned double-blind 10-year follow-up supplemented with comprehensive National Cancer Registry data for up to 20 years in 369 of the participants. Previous research published as part of the same trial revealed that aspirin reduced cancer of the large bowel by 50%. We found that resistant starch reduces a range of cancers by over 60%. The effect was most obvious in the upper part of the gut, explained Professor John Mathers, Professor of Human Nutrition at Newcastle University. This is important as cancers of the upper GI tract are difficult to diagnose and often are not caught early on. Resistant starch can be taken as a powder supplement and is found naturally in peas, beans, oats, and other starchy foods. The dose used in the trial is equivalent to eating a daily banana before they become too ripe and soft. The starch in bananas resists breakdown and reaches the bowel where it can change the type of bacteria that live there. Patients with Lynch syndrome are high risk as they are more likely to develop cancers, so finding that aspirin can reduce the risk of large bowel cancers and resistant starch other cancers by half is vitally important. Based on the trial, NICE now recommend aspirin for people at high risk of cancer. The benefits are clear. Aspirin and resistant starch works, the researchers added. connection of high-strength cannabis with addiction and mental health problems. Researchers from the Addiction and Mental Health Group at the University of Bath, UK, systematically analyzed the relationship between the types of cannabis people use and their addiction and mental health problems. Their work draws on 20 studies involving almost 120,000 people. Cannabis potency refers to the concentration of tetrahydrocannabinol, that is THC, in cannabis, the key psychoactive drug it contains. Recent studies from the same team at Bath have found that the concentration of THC in cannabis has increased significantly over time, meaning that cannabis use today is typically much stronger than previously. The new study published in the Lancet Psychiatry suggests that people who use high-potency cannabis are more likely to experience addiction than those using low-potency products. It also suggests that people using high-potency cannabis are more likely to experience a psychotic disorder such as schizophrenia. These findings may help to explain why more people have received treatment for cannabis problems over recent years. Data from the European Monitoring Center for Drugs and Drug Addiction show a 76% increase in people entering treatment for cannabis addiction in the past decade. Based on these new results, the authors argue that public health guidelines and policies to help make cannabis use safer should be encouraged. Lead author Kat Petrilli from the University of Bath's Department of Psychology explained, "Our systematic review found that people who use high-potency cannabis could be at increased risk of addiction as well as psychosis when compared to people who use cannabis products with lower potencies." The authors point out that strategies to make cannabis use safer could inform how the drug is regulated in the UK and internationally. Recreational cannabis use remains illegal in the UK, but cannabis products are now legally sold for recreational use in Canada, Uruguay, and parts of the USA. Several other countries appear set to follow this trend, including Germany. In the UK, the Liberal Democrats have argued that a legal regulated market could make cannabis use safer by enforcing a limit on the potency of cannabis products and investing the revenue and savings from this into education and treatment for cannabis problems. Beneficial metabolic effects of time-restricted eating in adults with type 2 diabetes. A new study published in Diabetologia, the journal of the European Association for the Study of Diabetes, finds that following a time-restricted eating protocol which limits the food intake to a max 10-hour time window shows promising beneficial metabolic effects in adults with type 2 diabetes. Our modern 24-hour society is characterized by endless food availability and disrupted day-night rhythm brought on by irregular sleep activity patterns and frequent exposure to artificial light sources. In Western nations, people also tend to spread their daily food intake over a minimum of 14 hours, which is likely to result in the absence of a true nocturnal fasted state. These factors all contribute to the development of type 2 diabetes, which has become one of the most common metabolic diseases globally, estimated by the WHO to cause more than 1.5 million deaths per year. The researchers recruited 14 individuals with T2D for the study, aged between 50 and 75 years, and body mass index greater than or equal to 25 kg per square meter. The study consisted of a 2-3-week intervention periods, that is TRE and control, separated by a washout period of at least 4 weeks. At the start of each intervention, participants had their body weight measured and were fitted with a continuous glucose monitoring device which measured their blood sugar level every 15 minutes. They were instructed to keep to their normal sleep patterns and physical activity and to maintain a stable weight. A food and sleep diary completed during the first intervention was used to ensure the diet during the second period was similar in both quantity and quality. During TRE, participants were instructed to consume their normal diet within a 10-hour window during the daytime and to complete their food intake no later than 18 hours. Outside this time window, they were permitted to drink water, plain tea, or black coffee, and zero-calorie soft drinks were also allowed during the evening if consumed in moderation. During control, volunteers were only required to spread their normal food intake over at least 14 hours with no other restrictions. TRE was found to decrease 24-hour glucose levels primarily as a result of lower nocturnal blood sugar, and the average time spent with blood glucose in the normal range increased to 15.1 hours versus 12.2 hours during the control phase. Morning fasting glucose was consistently lower among the TRE group than those on the control diet, which may be the result of lasting changes in nocturnal glucose control. Time spent in hypoglycemia or low blood sugar was not significantly increased by TRE, and no serious adverse events were reported resulting from the protocol, demonstrating that an eating window of approximately 10 hours is a safe and effective lifestyle intervention for adults with type 2 diabetes. Approximately halfway through each intervention, liver glycogen levels were assessed in the morning following the 10-hour or 14-hour nighttime fast period and were measured again at the end of each study period after an 11-hour fast for both TRE and control. In both cases, liver glycogen did not differ significantly between TRE and control, and an analysis of liver fats showed no difference in their quantity or composition between interventions. The authors concluded that a daytime 10-hour TRE regimen for 3 weeks decreases glucose levels and prolongs the time spent in the normal blood sugar range in adults with type 2 diabetes as compared with spreading daily food intake over at least 14 hours. These data highlight the potential benefit of TRE in type 2 diabetes.
That's all for today. Stay tuned to Medical Dialogues for latest updates.
Never miss a medical update from Medical Dialogues. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.